Yeah. Yikes. That's all I got to say. Caitlin Clark fans showing no mercy whatsoever, right? It is funny. There's a comment we're going to look at as we're going through the comments saying, oh, here comes all the troll poet.
Indiana Fever fans have officially turned on Stephanie White, and the backlash is becoming impossible for the franchise to control. What started as frustration has exploded into a full-scale fan rebellion, with thousands of passionate supporters openly rejecting the team's direction and exposing what many believe is a massive mistake by the coaching staff and front office. This is not just random outrage from casual viewers. Fever fans are studying the film, analyzing the offensive schemes, and demanding answers as they watch a generational superstar being pushed off the ball and hidden in the corner instead of controlling the offense. For months, WNBA insiders and media voices tried to dismiss the criticism as internet drama, but that narrative is collapsing fast as the raw numbers, fan reactions, and engagement metrics tell a completely different story. Now, with opening night approaching, pressure inside the organization is reaching a boiling point after what was supposed to be a simple roster reveal turned into a humiliating public relations disaster. The marketing machine is scrambling, the fan base is louder than ever, and the Indiana Fever suddenly find themselves trapped in a growing controversy that could define the entire season before it even begins.
It is ugly. Let's look at this. Our opening night roster is set. This just dropped. Kelsey Mitchell, Hines Allen, Raven Johnson, Aaliyah Boston, Sophie Cunningham, Lexi Hull, Demarius Dantas, Justine Passat, Michaela Timpson, Caitlin Clark, Monique Billings, Shatori Walker-Kimbrough, and Ty Harris. That is your opening night 2026 roster. Right there. Championship season.
The official 2026 Indiana Fever opening night roster is finally set. Kelsey Mitchell, Maisha Hines-Allen, Raven Johnson, Aaliyah Boston, Sophie Cunningham, Lexi Hull, Demarius Dantas, Justine Passat, Michaela Timpson, Caitlin Clark, Monique Billings, Chastity Walker-Kimbrough, and Tyasha Harris. On paper, this roster looks dangerous, built for speed, spacing, transition offense, and non-stop three-point shooting. But while fans were focused on the basketball side of things, the Fever social media team accidentally revealed something far bigger. This year, the organization rolled out individual player graphics, spotlighting every athlete with custom designs and jersey reveals heading into the season. And once the view counts started pouring in, the truth became impossible to hide. The numbers exposed a completely unfiltered picture of who truly drives the attention, engagement, and financial engine of this franchise. While the front office continues pushing a balanced, team-first narrative, the fans are making their opinion crystal clear with every click, like, share, and comment. The engagement gap between certain players was so massive that it instantly sparked debate across social media, fueling even more tension around how this organization plans to use its biggest superstar heading into one of the most anticipated WNBA seasons ever.
Insight into popularity. A couple things really caught my attention. Let's go here. Caitlin Clark, 378,000 views on this post, okay? I scrolled down. Number one, Justine Passat, 65,000. I mean, that's pretty interesting because Lexi Hull's got 73. Justine's right on her tail, right? But this was what was really interesting. Sophie Cunningham, 357,000 views on the number 8 post right here. It's clear Caitlin Clark and Sophie Cunningham are I believe, we all know Caitlin is the...
Let's break down these numbers because they reveal something the Indiana Fever organization probably did not want exposed this publicly. Caitlin Clark's official roster post exploded to 378,000 views, a staggering number, but honestly, nobody is surprised anymore. She is the face of the league, the biggest attraction women's basketball has ever seen, and the undeniable economic powerhouse driving ticket sales, television ratings, merchandise, and national attention. But once you keep scrolling through the roster posts, the real story starts unfolding. Lexi Hull, a respected role player and fan favorite, pulled a strong 73,000 views. Justine Pissett, still a developmental player with exciting shooting potential, was right behind her with 65,000. Those are healthy numbers. But then came the statistic that completely shattered the traditional WNBA hierarchy and exposed where the true fan energy is shifting. One specific post suddenly surged far beyond expectations, creating a massive gap between perception and reality inside the league. In that moment, it became painfully obvious that Caitlin Clark is not just popular, she exists in an entirely different universe from almost everyone else in the sport, and the fans are making it crystal clear which players they are emotionally investing in and which narratives they are refusing to buy anymore.
Views on the number 8 post right here. It's clear Caitlin Clark and Sophie Cunningham are I believe, we all know Caitlin is the most popular player. I think Sophie is top, really and truly top, probably 3 or 4. As far as actual popular, there's a lot more actual regular sports fans that know who the hell.
Post. Think about how insane that number really is for a second. Caitlin Clark sits at 378,000, the biggest superstar in women's basketball, the face of the league, the player carrying television ratings, sold-out arenas, and the entire national spotlight on her shoulders. And somehow, Sophie Cunningham is right there beside her at 357,000, practically breathing down her neck. That changes everything. It tells you exactly what today's WNBA audience actually wants. Fans are gravitating toward personality, emotion, toughness, and raw competitive fire. They love Sophie because she plays with attitude, embraces the chaos, talks trash, hits big shots, and never backs down from anybody. She feels authentic. She feels fearless. Meanwhile, Kelsey Mitchell, an incredible veteran, a franchise cornerstone, and a max-level star, brought in just 31,000 views. Again, this is not disrespect toward Kelsey Mitchell as a player because her talent is undeniable. But from a marketing and engagement perspective, the gap is absolutely staggering. 31,000 compared to 357,000 is not just a difference, it is a complete collapse of the old WNBA hierarchy. These numbers prove that fans are no longer emotionally attached to reputation, seniority, or establishment status. They are attaching themselves to energy, to entertainment, to players who amplify the excitement surrounding Caitlin Clark instead of slowing it down. And perhaps most importantly, fans are becoming openly hostile toward anyone they believe stands in the way of that momentum. Which brings us to the moment that completely detonated social media, the absolute disaster surrounding the USA basketball post.
Boy! I mean, the comments on this, yikes. Puke emojis. Stop promoting this awful coach if it doesn't make us like her anymore. How about stop trying to force us to glaze her? She destroyed the Vanderbilt program. Factual. That's factual. This one just kills me. The cesspool.
The Indiana Fever public relations team honestly believed they were posting a feel-good moment when they congratulated Stephanie White on being selected as an assistant coach for USA Basketball in the upcoming World Cup. They expected applause. They expected respect. They thought fans would rally behind the idea of their head coach being recognized on the international stage. Instead, the entire post turned into a public execution. The comment section exploded instantly, and what followed was not mild criticism, it was a complete rejection of the organization's attempt to repair White's image. Fans flooded the post with anger, sarcasm, and brutal frustration. One comment read, "Stop promoting this awful coach. It does not make us like her anymore. She destroyed the Vanderbilt program." And that right there is what makes this backlash so dangerous for the Fever organization. These are not casual viewers throwing random insults online. These are deeply invested basketball fans digging through Stephanie White's coaching history, pointing directly at her struggles at Vanderbilt, and openly fearing that the same problems are now following her into Indiana. Once a fan base starts bringing up your past coaching failures in detail, you have officially lost the battle for public trust. Then the tactical criticism started pouring in even harder. Fans questioned whether White would continue keeping Caitlin Clark off the ball even on the international stage, accusing her of limiting the most exciting player in the sport instead of building around her strengths. Others flat out declared the Fever would never win under her leadership. And while some comments crossed the line into personal attacks, the overwhelming theme was impossible to ignore. Fans are terrified that the franchise is mishandling a once-in-a-generation superstar. The emotion behind these reactions is raw because supporters genuinely believe Caitlin Clark represents the future of women's basketball, and they see any coaching decision that limits her freedom or creativity as a direct threat to the team's success, the fan experience, and even the growth of the league itself.
By the way, signature shoes coming in September. What is going on? Really? Ticket sales plummeted since she came to Indiana. The fans have spoken. They don't like the lies from the front office or the questionable figures like Stephanie. Boy, got to be more careful. I mean it. Yeah.
The fans are connecting every single dot now, and the Indiana Fever front office can no longer hide behind polished interviews and carefully crafted PR statements. Supporters remember everything from last season: the confusing injury updates, the bizarre rotations, the endless media narratives trying to convince people that the offense somehow functioned better when Caitlin Clark was not dominating the ball. Fans watched analysts defend strategies that made absolutely no sense to anyone actually studying the game, and they felt insulted by it. They saw commentators pushing the idea that taking the ball out of the hands of one of the greatest passers women's basketball has ever seen was somehow smart basketball, and many supporters simply stopped buying it. Now that frustration has boiled over into full-blown distrust. Some fans are openly accusing the coaching staff of holding their own superstar back with outdated offensive systems, slow-paced sets, and schemes that fail to maximize the electric style of play that made Caitlin Clark a phenomenon in the first place. And instead of addressing those concerns directly, many fans believe the WNBA establishment has chosen a different strategy entirely: blame independent creators, blame YouTubers, blame podcasters, blame social media. But that explanation is collapsing because the anger coming from Fever fans feels far too widespread and emotionally charged to be manufactured by a handful of content creators. These are passionate basketball consumers who track ticket sales, analyze game film, debate offensive spacing, and spend serious money supporting this franchise. They do not want to be treated like mindless consumers who will cheer for anything placed in front of them. They want transparency, accountability, and a system that fully unleashes the biggest star the league has seen in decades. That is why the pressure surrounding the Fever right now feels so overwhelming. The front office knows expectations are sky high, the fan base is fully engaged, and every coaching decision this season will be dissected under a microscope. Opening day is approaching fast, and the tension around this team is reaching a level that feels almost impossible to contain.